Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Jerome Chang, and this is another edition of Tempo Time. Joining me, my West Coast partner here, still adjusting the time, but she got a day off. She
Hell
got a
yeah.
day off. Chelsea late. Chels, how are you
Yeah.
doing? How are you holding up?
Oh man, day off yesterday was clutch. I was like filling
Mm-hmm.
out my hours from last week and realized that I had worked truly all 7 days. And I was like, oh,
Look,
okay.
after that road trip, I think you actually might have enjoyed getting some of those hours back.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
still,
True, true,
yeah,
true, true.
yeah,
Mood, mood,
yeah.
mood. Yeah, no, it was great. Had a great time. I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the airport on Monday, just like very tired.
Because it was a bit of
Um,
a red eye that you took, right?
no,
Like,
I
was
was
it? Oh no.
completely in the day.
Oh
I
shoot.
took
Never mind.
I took a day eye. That was a bad. I don't know, guys. Don't take my humor for
Look, we're
serious
also
today.
going through extreme hardships, okay?
Yeah, no, I got on that plane. It was like it got delayed too. So I got on the plane. It was like 12:30. I locked in. I put on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Okay.
Was committed to not buying the Wi-Fi, and then I got halfway through the movie, and I was like, if I don't talk to someone about all these old people in the bed, I actually go, which that's just a look inside my brain. So then I paid eight
Right.
dollars for the Wi-Fi so that I could text someone about why all the old people are
But you also
in a
got
bed
tempo
together.
updates on
I did,
like in
yeah.
the air, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. So it was kind of a work expense at that
I,
point.
I think I think TSN needs to pay that $8 back to you. Is what I'm thinking.
What I'm saying, yeah, and but like they're not even related. They're all just in-laws, and they're in that bed together for 20 years, touching feet, touching legs.
You know.
And I'm like, what are we doing? And so I can't blame myself for needing to pay $8 for Wi-Fi so that I could text someone about that because I truly felt I was like, I haven't watched this movie in so long.
Right.
What is happening?
Right.
What is happening? And then suddenly the one just gets up. I'm like, you probably had blood clots or like muscular atrophy. Like, what
Oh
are you
my god.
doing?
Yeah, there's no way that they could do it for that amount of time because it just seems like they were in bed the entire time until
For 20 years, they said.
was it 20 years?
Yeah, just eating fucking cabbage water. Sorry,
Okay,
I
but
should swear.
here's the other side. No, go ahead. Swear as much as you like.
It's important.
I think the other thing, just you mentioned that, to do it for 20 years, they weren't that old 20 years before that.
Yeah,
Why did
literally.
they
I was
start doing
like,
that?
why were you in bed 20 years ago?
Because, like, what? We're going to put them at 70 at most, maybe 60.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're saying, like, they started, like, 40 or 50?
They were on bed. All four of them? What are
To
the
age
odds?
myself right now, that would mean that I would actually need to start doing this pod from my bed.
Yeah.
Next to like Alex Wong, like we're just gonna share it, and then like whatever. It's,
And then Will's on the opposite side of the bed.
Will's 10 years away from joining us, or 8 years
Yeah.
away, whatever he is.
And then I'm making you all cabbage water.
Thank you, fucking cabbage water. I think, yeah. So based on like 40-year-olds I know, it actually does need to be Alex, Bobby Webster, and myself
in
in, a,
in
in the
the
bed together.
bed
You know?
from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
Yeah.
Factory.
And then what happens is like Kawhi Leonard arrives in Toronto, and then Bobby jumps up at the
Yeah,
bed.
I got a golden ticket.
Yes.
Oh wow. Yeah, so anyway, that was my flight. Air Canada did not give me any food except like a one celebration cookie. And someone was farting on the plane. So I was like, I need this Wi-Fi right now. And then I found out the Tempo had got an emergency extreme hardship contract, which we're
We'll
just
get to
naming
that
things.
for sure,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
definitely get to that. We're just naming things anything these days. And yeah, and that was my flight. The thing about flying back from the West Coast is that you leave at like whatever, like noon. And then I got back into my house and it was like almost 10 p.m. And I was like, there goes my entire day.
I know those 3 hours really
But you know
make a
what?
difference.
I was on
Yeah.
the payroll, so it was fine.
There you go.
I was
There you
like,
go.
I'm gonna clock this.
And I'm signing off in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Well, okay, first off to kick off, for those who are only listening right now, I am burning under this spotlight that I have on me, but like because I am wearing a crochet Tempo bucket hat, courtesy of Ingrid, fan of the show, friend of the
Shout out
show.
Ingrid.
Shout out Ingrid. Here's the thing. I'm not the only one that owns one of these hats. Like posted to the Tempo account here, you have Slim getting off the plane in Vancouver wearing a hat. I was standing with Ingrid and Jordan post game as they were ready to hand off the hat. It is so cool to see Ingrid do this. She crochets every one of these on her own. So
Mine's coming soon.
you're getting one soon. This is going to be a huge upgrade for your WNBA snapback.
Literally, we're upgrading.
We're totally upgrading. But no, shout out Ingrid for all of her hard work. She's been wanting to do this and
That's
like
hard.
get it to players. And I mean, you do a little knitting, crocheting
Yeah,
yourself,
I
right?
crochet a little bit. I'm an amateur crocheter, and the amount of time, and especially to make the pattern, like the patterns are hard.
Here, I'm
It's
gonna
like
ISO me, but if you could see like
yeah, it's
closely here,
tapestry. It's like weaved in, so that takes a lot of like planning and stuff. It's hard, and then
It's
to
very
make
detailed,
the
yeah.
shape to make it into an actual hat, like bro, like that is it's good, like hard stuff. So as soon as I saw them, I was like, I need one of these. I need it.
Yeah, no, everyone did. I got mine at the open practice.
Yeah.
And the second I put it on, everyone was asking about it. Staff
Oh,
were
yeah.
asking about it. Players are asking about it. So,
Yeah.
you know, Ingrid's working hard. If you catch
know.
her
I
at Tempo
did-
Games, she's doing it live. Like,
Live
it's,
at Tempo
like,
Games.
At Tempo Games, which is
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
I messaged her after I saw Slim's, and I was like, can I cop one? And she was like, she was so nice, but she was like, I was gonna offer you one, but then like I didn't know like what your stance on was wearing tempo gear. And I was like, you know what? If I'm on a beach and nobody knows who I am,
Honestly,
fair game.
it's got a little bit of like insulation on it. This might be like a
Yeah.
really good fall winter situation too.
oh yeah,
because it's like covering the ears on the side.
it's almost
like,
giving
this is
sauna
fantastic.
cap in like a sleigh fun
Okay,
way.
okay.
Like you'd be wearing that out to like the Nordic spa.
Okay, yeah.
Which
But
I'm
it
about to
is
hit that
toasting
after
up.
the
I'm
tempo
gonna-
season.
I'm gonna move this off for now, not because I don't like it. I do love it, but I am
hot.
going to be sweating.
It's
by the
giving
end of
the
it. But thank you,
summer.
Ingrid, for
Yeah,
this
shout out Ingrid.
incredible
I'm
hat.
so excited to get mine. I'm getting the purple one too. I'm excited.
Amazing. But yeah, I mean, amongst things that we have come back with, Tempo get a dub in Vancouver.
Oh, Dubs in the chat.
Dubs in the chat.
What a great game.
What a great game. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, before we even get to any of the details, just like tell me about the experience of being there. How was the Vancouver crowd?
Oh.
How was seeing Kat Jamie again?
Ah.
How was doing any of it? I think you said you found her at the merch line, is what
I did,
it was?
which
You did.
Fork found in kitchen.
Fork found in kitchen. But no, let's start from the beginning. Like, how was
Yeah.
the Vancouver crowd, the atmosphere, and even just like being there? Because I felt it through the television,
Yeah.
seeing like how much this win meant for the team.
Yeah. To start this story appropriately, we need to rewind a year. Back to August of 2025, where I went to Vancouver for the first time ever in my whole life to go cover the Seattle Atlanta Dream game. In the same arena a year ago. And when I tell you, it torrential downpoured from the second I landed, from the second I left of that city, and I was like, what's the big deal about blah, blah, blah. I didn't get to see anything. Like, I literally
Right.
went from the hotel to the arena to the hotel. I was only there for like 2 days. But anyways, so I was going back and I was like, you know what? Maybe this time I'll get to see the water, whatever. So I land in Vancouver on Thursday morning to the most beautiful, spectacular day that has ever happened on Earth. Went and just started, like, we were like hopping from place to place, like trying to, and like we had a whole thing where like behind the scenes of broadcast, but a couple of our broadcast crew, their luggage didn't come.
Oh,
And
gosh.
there was a situation at the airport on Thursday morning where like the Air Canada luggage carousel broke, and I happened to get my luggage in like right before it broke. So my
Wow.
luggage was like basically one of the only ones that like on that flight that like got to Vancouver, which I was like, thank the Lord, because like poor sweet Reagan and was trying to buy stuff like in Vancouver in case her luggage didn't come for the
Where's the
broadcast.
nearest Reitmans?
Yeah, it was Aritzia. We'll get to the Aritzia thing, but anyways.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That was great
So
too.
that was, but like, it's one thing to lose your luggage when you're traveling. It's another thing to lose your luggage when you have to be on a broadcast the next day and all of
Oh,
your
yeah.
broadcast stuff. I was like, bro. So that was
It's
like,
not just buying like any clothing to get by.
No,
Like, I remember when I
it's-
lost my luggage in Vegas, like I just went to the nearest Target and bought like 3 white tees and like a
Yeah.
pair of shorts. Like that was it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then you wait till your luggage. But like, yeah, we were like trying to be like, oh God, like broadcast clothes, like what, makeup, like stuff like that, right? So thankfully my luggage got there, but we had such a beautiful, wonderful day on Thursday that I truly was like that meme that was like, girl who is going to be okay. Like, I was
Right.
like, look at this beautiful sea air. And then obviously because of the time change, I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning on Friday. So it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I have like 4 hours until shoot around. Let me just go walk around. So I ended up walking 10 kilometers before 10 a.m.
Okay.
I went like the entire seawall. I got like coffee. I'm like sitting there. I'm like feeling the sun.
Really scenic to do that though.
And it was like the morning light and people are running. There's dogs everywhere. And so I just need to set the tone of like, I'm going into this game as like girl who is going to be okay. I got my vitamin D, my coffee. We go to shoot around. I realized that they had redone the whole inside of Rogers Arena. It's beautiful in there.
Nice.
We do shoot around. Now, at this time, the vibes are high. We got to talk to Slim at Shoot-Around, which, like, now we know is, like, the swan song of the season, unfortunately. And she, like, and this was what breaks my freaking heart, was that she was just so excited to be back in Vancouver. Like, so excited. And, like, just so happy to be there. So at that point, vibes are high.
She worked so hard to get back into the season.
Breaks my heart. And like even she was telling us like at that time she had gone like yesterday, but Thursday she had like gone down to the water and she was like thinking about like her recovery and how grateful she was to be back. And I was like, bro,
I would really love to talk to her about maybe more than the physical journey, a lot of the mental and emotional.
Yeah, like she's talked about that quite a lot.
Anytime that she has talked since coming back from that injury and prior to unfortunately the next injury, a lot of the conversation has been really just like all the like therapy and mental work and emotional work to get back. Yeah.
Same.
So yeah.
Same. So anyway, so then we go and then the game then we go back for the game. When I tell you, so like when you're in the arena, because people I saw people saying a type of thing online about like the crowd. And here's the thing. So, like, the lower bowl was almost, like, basically completely sold out. And then the upper bowl, they had closed. They had, like, not sold the sections on, like, the baselines of either side of the upper bowl. But then, like, the sides of the upper bowl were being sold. And the first night, I think there was, like, 12,000 something people there. When I tell you, it felt louder than a full Scotiabank arena in there. Those people were popping off.
Yes.
Like, screaming. Like, so like, loud.
We have, like, a comment here that just says, it was loud as fuck.
It was. Like, and I was sitting there and I was like, this crowd does not feel like 12,000. Like, and they were in every bit of the game.
Thought,
and, like,
they broke another WNBA record, how loud it was.
Yeah. It was, so it was really fun. Then you get, like, a really close, really good game. Unfortunately, you have the 2 injuries mid-game. So, Slim was first, hurt her foot, had to go off. Misconception is that it was a re-aggravation of her injury. It's actually a separate injury. So we got that confirmation on Sunday that it is a separate injury from the original one. We don't know exactly what it is, but apparently the timeline for her recovery is not very long. So
it was more, I mean, like, we're going to get to it. You're going to talk about Anissa Morrow also. In both cases, the reason why they're ruled out for the season is only because there's only so much season left. And we know that the, what am I even trying to say? We know that the Tempo are already eliminated from playoff contention. Yeah. Had they been able to get into the playoffs, we would have seen both Slim and Anissa come back. Yeah,
exactly. So that was the first one, which sucked. Then Anissa goes down as well. That one was scary because like she didn't even, she needed to be carried off. But to hear that she doesn't need surgery, really great.
Yeah, neither.
I think what happened is she just kind of like knocked her knee with, and so I wouldn't be surprised. And again, like I don't want to like. I'm not going to, like, assume anything, but she knocked knees, and so it seemed like more of a collision injury than anything. But anyway, doesn't need surgery, which is great. But then you get down to, like, the wire of this game, and it's like you're missing Marina, Slim, Anissa, all, like,
Niara, yeah.
And this team just grits out a win. Like, Kiki is on fire. Izzy's on fire. Like, they got the crowd. Izzy steps up, does those clutch free throws. Like, when I tell you the energy in there was so good.
Team high plus 17 clutch corner threes.
Clutch. And it's like, yeah, so like you have all of these players out and like this team is like gritting themselves to a win. You could feel it. You could feel it on the court. You could see how much it meant to them to get that one win, to break that streak, because like it's like as much as like we're probably going to like foretold that, you know, there's probably not going to be very many wins, if any, left in this season. Sure. Breaking that streak, I think, was important to like their morale and stuff. And so seeing how emotional they got, and I do kind of feel bad because the last 2 wins of the season have been technically on the road, and like luckily I've been there to be able to experience both, but like it is also on the other side like cool that each of these away like cross Canada crowds each got a win. It's really
sold the cross Canada series, like I hate to
which
say,
is probably coming back, like, so
it will absolutely come back. It should come back. I hope it reaches other cities in Canada.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I like give me a Halifax game.
Give me a Halifax game. I want to be on the East Coast eating oysters, watching the W. Let's go.
I just want to see red in the form of lobsters like everywhere. Lobster rolls, like boiled lobster, grilled whatever it is. Lobster, mac and cheese.
Take me to Halifax. And you know that the Halifax crowd would go wild for this
absolutely.
game. So that would be fun. But anyways, yeah, that was a great dub. And like, yeah, after the game, like how emotional they were, how excited they were for each other, how like
I was so happy for Izzy Harrison.
Oh my goodness, yes. Like just seeing the way that she was able to step up, and like just even talking to her after the game and like hearing like how she wanted to, like, you know, everybody's out. She had to step up big, and her and Kiki,
and she did,
like,
what, 25 and 10?
Yeah, 25 and 10,
Jeez,
double, clutch, like in the clutch too, because it was a close game down there. They only won by like 3 points, and like being able to
like they almost blew the lead.
Yeah,
like Portland came back into it, but then they closed it out, which is
like,
incredible to see. Yeah.
Kiki Rice. I know we're going to talk a little bit about Kiki more, but like we can't talk about this game and not talk about Kiki mother effing Rice.
Absolutely. Okay, well, before we get to Kiki, yes, rest in peace. Before we get to Kiki, because we will talk about her, you talked about it already. I think there has to be a real special shout out to the team as a whole and how much they all came together going into the game with injuries, losing more key players with injuries, and really step up. Like, I think what was so emblematic about that particular game is really like a taste and a look at like what exactly I think the Temple wants to be in terms of their identity. You know, Sandy has preached like a couple of different things. And one of the things that really stood out, like, or at least 2 particular ones, one, make things difficult, like make it uncomfortable. That hounding defense, like I think it was a really tall lineup of like, it was like Izzy, Lara, Ornella, Temi, Ortiani, and like Kiki, and they were just like giving them hell. And the other part which like really stood out, especially if you're a team that is like already on a, you know, league high 12-game losing streak, joy. To play with joy. Yep. I think outside of the actual end of the game where, you know, you just see this like outpour of emotion, it was the end ones, the finishes that Kiki would have, and she's just like beaming. She's smiling. She's like leading this team. And if you didn't know the record of this team, you would think this was like a team headed to the playoffs and contending. And I think that's like what's beautiful about it. And I think what it is a real credit to these players in keeping up that morale and supporting each other, but also Sandy for really kind of giving them the perspective throughout. And so,
I do think...
Go ahead.
Not to interrupt you, but I do think there is something to be said too about like the way that this team has been celebrated this season, adding on to that. Like, I think they've all kind of had a little dose of like, we're in Canada, we're celebrating, the fans are happy. Like, I do think that has a little bit contributed to the way that these players are playing with joy, because the fan base has given them so much. Like, I do think there's a push and pull. Absolutely. I think the fact that we're in Vancouver and everybody's asking them, how does it, like, first game, like, there's so many little girls out there. There's all this, like, I think, like, from my perspective, I feel like that would almost help them play with joy too, because they're thinking about how this isn't about the playoffs. Like, we've said this so many times on this podcast this year of like, the fact that they're not going to make the playoffs doesn't really matter in this first season, because we're all just celebrating the fact that we're here. But like, you know, I think that might have even given some of these players who have been in some of these situations before a little bit of perspective to be like, we may not be making the playoffs, but doesn't mean we still can't give these fans in Vancouver.
There's something bigger than the wins that
Exactly.
means so much to the fans and to the team and to like the league, to everything. Yeah.
It's like, we're at the end of the season now, win, loss, whatever, every game this team gets a standing ovation. The fans are always there. They're always excited.
Absolutely.
They're interacting with them. I think that has an effect on them as well, and I think it helps them be able to like pull out these big performances. So I think like that has a big, I mean, I'm curious, like maybe I'm not gonna be able to ask anyone anything for maybe on Zoom, but like
sure,
I'm very curious to see if like that helps as well. So maybe that's something
that is
I'll
one of
ask
those things
them,
that I
but-
think can even be waited upon until like locker clean out. Because I think there's like a real opportunity to kind of look back at all of this.
True.
No, I mean, it's the funny thing. Like, when you are really expecting this team to be competitive within games, when they have as healthy of a roster as they can have, because they really haven't had a healthy roster at any point this season.
At Juju.
Yes. I think there is this thing of you'll look at like some of the like bench players, some of the rotational players, contributing, and you'd be like, oh, like so and so isn't really producing, and so and so like doesn't seem like that they're themselves, and yet like a game like that, and I would say even for this like stretch, you have seen almost every player step up at any given moment, and I think like that part, I have to. Not in that I said anything I think on the pod, but maybe in talking with friends, I would have to retract and say like, wow, like everyone really is coming through, and I just really admire the effort and grit and just like the fortitude of this team.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's like it was fun to watch. Like you like watching them win because it's like they were working so hard for it. Like, so it was fun. It was good vibes, and like you could tell that they really
deserved
wanted
a win
and
for
needed
how hard
that
they played.
win.
They deserved a win.
And as much as the tanking folk might not have been as thrilled with it,
Hey, we chose a day to win when Chicago won.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It bounced, and then Connecticut won, even though it was against Chicago. It's the whole thing, but like,
Yeah. Now Connecticut.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
It was just the joy of a dub on the West Coast, and I was girl who was going to be okay, and so were they. It was funny because I saw, shout out to Tempo admin and content team because they be making us laugh. But when I saw that Kiki shot of girl who was going to be okay, I was like, that's me. That's me. I am girl who is going to be okay.
I mean, look, you're bringing us there with a very clean segue. Girl who's going to be okay. Kiki Rice is a franchise player. This is a direct quote from Coach Sandy Brondello. And look, I think Kiki Rice is absolutely going to make WNBA All-Rookie. I think that's a given. We'll see. If you have anything to do with it, I think she absolutely there's going to obviously be things about the injuries through the season, like how much she's been able to be there on the court. But when she is on the court, she is clearly one of the best rookies.
Well, to talk about injuries now, you think about someone like AZ Fudd. At the end of the day, AZ and Kiki's game totals are going to be similar. So I don't want to hear anybody being like, "Oh, she was out," blah blah blah. No.
Fair enough. Yeah, and in a season that if there wasn't an Olivia Miles, Kiki would very much be in the conversation of Rookie of the Year.
I mean, I don't know if Rookie of the Month for August is in sight, but
sure,
man, she has a case for it after that.
She has a case for it, and so here, I think let's frame it around for those who haven't had an opportunity yet, you should be reading Chelsea's work on TSN. You got to talk to Kiki about this season so far, and you wrote a really great profile about it. Tell us a little bit about what you found and wrote about, but also what the experience was about being around her. Because one thing I actually was crossing my mind is so often, Chelsea, you are actually one of the youngest in the room. This is a case where you're actually talking to someone who's younger than you.
Yeah.
And so there's almost and the only reason why I bring that up is more because I have to remind myself because of how poised and mature she is.
Literally.
But yeah, tell us about your piece and tell us about Kiki.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying. It's been hard with the way the schedule worked out to get some of this FaceTime with some of them because they're away a lot, but then also like, you know, when you're doing so many games in a row, like my brain has been like broadcast, right? So I haven't had too much of an opportunity, but I've tried to, you know, to make sure that I'm doing some of these on these players. And the thing with Kiki, like it was, this one kept bouncing around because she got injured and then she came back and then there was like so like it got bounced around a few times, and in the end it ended up being just like a random Friday practice where there wasn't really anything going on, and I got to talk to her. But yeah, I think that's the first thing is like you talk to her and you don't feel like you're talking to a rookie. And I feel like the other thing too is that it's funny when some of our colleagues that cover the Raptors come to these things, and their comment is always like, oh my gosh, like these players are so well spoken, like they're so easy to talk to.
Welcome to the W.
Welcome to the WNBA, my friends.
Yeah.
But that's like just like, yeah, and with Kiki, like her energy, the way, like even when you're just around her in scrum, when you see her interacting with the other players, even when you see her on the court, she's so just like even, calm, like collected. She's so like, and her teammates just have described this, like, because, you know, at this point, I've asked most of them about her, and her teammates will always say, like, no matter what happens in a day, whatever, she's always just, like, ready. She's like, okay, like, if something bad happens, she's like, okay, how do we fix it? Okay, what do we do next? Like, always, and I'm like, what a skill to have as a human being. But yeah, like one of the first times that I got to like actually just like sit down and chat with her one-on-one, and especially because she was injured and stuff. And so, yeah, it's just, you know, when you do these like one-on-ones with players, it's very informal. You just kind of like sit down somewhere in the gym and you just chat with them. And for me, I'm always trying to make it a little bit more like a conversation. You know, I want them to be comfortable. I want them to do that. And so, yeah, she was so kind, so like giving with her time. She's someone who gives you so good of an answer. Like there's certain players that you talk to and they just answer your question, which is fine. Like I'm used to, as an interviewer, like making my questions. It was funny because there was a younger journalist in BC, and she was kind of asking me like, how do I pick my questions? And I was telling her, you always have to think about what you want them to say. Like whenever I ask us in a scrum and whatever, I already know what I want them to tell me. And so it's asking the question, knowing what you want the answer to be. So when I just get that answer, I'm good with that because I knew already, okay, I wanted that quote. I wanted to get that in. I'm already forming what I want to say. But with Kiki, she gives you that, and then she kind of gives you a little bit more. And she kind of goes into the behind the scenes of things. And she was telling me about, you know, her recovery and her mental process coming back and what she was doing off the court, you know, when she was injured. And we talked a little bit about the comparisons between her college coach and like Sandy. And she was telling me about how like Coach Close, like Corey Close at UCLA, like she was kind of all of their like second mom, because you're coming in and you're like 18 years old and you're so new and you need more of that support in college. But then you come to the WNBA and the relationship with your coach changes quite a lot because now you're an adult, you're a professional. It's not that thing where you're like leaning on them in the sense of being another parent. No, it's like a working professional relationship. And she was kind of going into that with like how she's building her relationship with Sandy, and, you know, all the things she's noticing about Sandy, about how deep her basketball IQ is and all of that stuff, and how chill she is. Like she commented on like the differences between like Sandy's system being very chill, because we all know like Coach Sandy is very chill. She's been doing this for like 20 plus years, like coaching in particular. And she, you know, she's very, whereas like I know in college the programs are pretty strict because you're trying to like build these habits for these players that they'll use. So anyway, so we're going into that, and then we're talking about Toronto. She's telling me about her favorite spot. She's telling me about all the stuff, and she was just like, I think the one thing that I gained from this conversation is, one, just like, again, how professional and poised and mature she is, but also like, I think, and maybe it came as a bit of a surprise, but she has like genuinely really loved Toronto, and I think that's all of them, and they'll tell you that, and the way that they've been able to like explore a little bit. And she was telling me about her favorite neighborhoods.
And she's coming from like California. She was coming from some like pretty nice circumstances to come here.
Exactly, and like, you know, just like a lot of them had never been here before, so she's telling me all the things that surprised her, and then just like talking about the fans. And I think I did put this quote in there, but she in my piece, but she was saying that like, and this is a lot coming from someone who played at UCLA, who's played in Team USA system, all this stuff. She
is beloved already.
Oh yeah, she's beloved, and she called the Toronto fan base the best fan base she's ever played for. Like, quote to quote.
That really took me like reading that part, because when you already have achieved such a high in a college atmosphere, like winning a championship and
won a national championship,
and to immediately come in and say, on a team that is a losing team, like this is the best fan base you've been a part of, like that is really something to say.
That's something to say. And like the fact that, yeah, we're just in year 1 of building this relationship. She's probably going to be the longest tenured tempo that is currently on the roster. I mean, what a great relationship to be building with someone like that. And like the fact that she's getting so much now, like especially coming back from her injury, like getting so much time on the court to grow and like show these fans who she is and her grit and her poise. Like what a gift on both sides. Like what a great opportunity for a player to come into right out of college, but also what a great opportunity for the fans to really like to come in as a rookie and see a franchise from the ground up. Like it's really giving. Like you think about how we talk about some of those Raptors who were there, like, in the beginning, in the early days, and even someone like Vince or whatever, like to be able to build a culture and to be around from day one and all of that. Like, I mean, I would love that as an athlete. I'm sure she loves that, and the fans love that, and yeah, it was just really cool to get some like fan. And I mean, again, she's someone I'm probably going to talk to a lot over the coming years, and so just to see that, and I'm glad that it kind of came through in the piece, and that people are able to kind of like build that relationship a little bit more through that.
Yeah, no, it's a great piece, and like if you haven't read it yet, definitely urge you to read it, because you get to know really someone who, I mean, is so young but arrived so ready on many different levels, and is really embracing, the city, the team, I think the culture, the fan base, like all of it together. And so, yeah, I actually also like, there was like a quote there where she was like, "I'm sad we missed Caravana."
Yeah, no, she was truly like, I was asking her about like the things she's been able to experience, and she was talking about like all the street festivals and the parties, and she was like so sad that they were on the road for Caravan. And I was like, period.
Incredible.
Queen.
Like I love that. And
next year we'll get it back.
Next year the full on Kiki Rice and Peas will be in effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when she came back from injury, it was immediately apparent how much the team missed her on so many levels.
Oh my God.
And, there's the encore production. There is, like, once she really started finding her rhythm again, just the pressure she puts on defenses, the amazing finishes, the poise through, like, double teams. Like, when you start looking at the last stretch of games,
she's getting blitzed out there.
She's getting blitzed out there. Like, there's no Marina Mabry that she can turn to. There's no Brittany Sykes that she can turn to. Like, she is the main point of focus, and she's handled it so well, and also has, like, shown more aggression in, like, really demanding the ball, which is something that Sandy has been preaching the whole time. So,
I think...
Go ahead, yeah.
I was just going to say, I think it's, like, I think it shows, like, building a team with a lot of balance, because you need those people like Marina, Izzy, whatever, whose energy is always at a 10.
Sure.
Who is always going to give you that, like, very passionate,
she centers
persona on the court. But then, you have someone who, like Kiki, who's a little bit more even keeled. She brings them down a little bit, but they also bring her up a little bit. And I think it helps, like, balance the like, emotion.
So well.
Yeah. Oh, so well.
I think I mentioned it on probably last episode or maybe the episode before that, but there were moments where you would see, like Marina will rightfully be frustrated with like the physicality, the injury, or the injuries, but like the fouls on the court or the fouls that don't get called. And you'd see moments where she is upset, she wants to argue with the ref, and then you have her rook who's pulling her into the huddle to kind of calm her down and recenter and readjust and like get the team back together. And that is something that is such a testament to what Kiki brings to it, but also is like asking way more of her than she like really should have to do. And so, no, I mean, on all fronts, like, obviously there was, going into the draft, like, I wouldn't necessarily say, like, to the common fan base, including myself, that Kiki Rice was a name that, like, popped out immediately to me. And I could not be happier that she is our rookie, that she is our franchise player moving forward. So, no, just really amazing. And honestly, probably the positive focus that we'll need to have for the remainder of the season, because the Tempo have really achieved extreme hardship.
Extreme hardship. It's like, it's like extreme.
I know. Yeah. I keep on thinking like, like if it's like WWE, I'm like, are these the Hardy Boys? Is this like team Extreme?
Which quite honestly, to go back to Friday for a second, I had I was enjoying the game, don't get me wrong, and I would have rather be there. I was having FOMO.
I can't believe
it wasn't just SmackDown. It was Kevin Owens versus CM Punk in Toronto at SmackDown. I was like, bro.
We actually did it again. We did, are you a Kiki Rice daughter or a Kevin Owens son?
Oh, we did do that. We did do that. Kiki Rice daughter.
Shout out Scott Camsell, by the way. We basically like egged each other on and somehow like ended up with floor seats. And
I would have joined you. I would have been right there with you next year.
I know.
But like KO versus CM Punk.
Look, put it this way: only one across the board. Like our guy didn't win, but your girl did. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. True.
But okay, so this is like the really funny part. Funny in a sad way, I guess. But the team just incurs injury after injury after injury. And I think because we've had so many injuries, we know like, oh, there's always the opportunity for a hardship contract. No. There was a point that you were reporting where it was like, no, they can't activate any further hardship contracts. This is what we're dealing with. And it was so bad that a day or two later, it was announced that there's an extreme hardship. I've never heard this thing before. I've even tried to like look it up and understand. I don't even know that there's like specific wording in the CBA that speaks to this.
There's a little bit.
There's like an emergency hardship, but I don't even know if that is the same as the extreme hardship.
Yeah.
Either way, the Tempo have signed.
That was
Kiana
a
Williams.
Sega.
What? Sorry.
That was a Sega.
Right. But signed Kiana Williams to extreme hardship contract because the Tempo just do not have players to put on the court. Not to mention that they're going to go into... Well, here. We're just going to try to lay out what exactly the roster is. I am going to put it on you, Chelsea, because you've done all the reporting around it.
Yeah.
Who is unavailable due to injury, due to temporary suspension, and... We don't have to go through like who's left because like we can surmise who's left from it. But like who are we missing right now?
Here's the deal. So we go into Sunday with the injury report was Marina Mabry, adductor, Sykes foot, Morrow knee, Conde calf, and Sabley calf. I don't think Sabley didn't travel with them either.
Okay.
So anyways, so we're there. And those injuries happen. We're not hearing anything. So when I get to, and I'm thinking like, once we get like a clear injury report, maybe the process for a hardship will start, right? So I'm like that's what I'm thinking going into Sunday. So we get there Sunday. Ask Sandy. It was funny because I was kind of like, what's coming. And she kind of just gave me a look and I was like, yeah. Aritzia Queen.
Wait, let's pause for a sec. I know like we're talking about the hardship. Like tell us about the Aritzia story.
So this was after the game on Friday, vibes are high, whatever. And those shirts that are if you go on my Instagram and I posted Aritzia, whatever, and it's those shirts that are like the button-up shirts and the tanks and they kind of have like a little like flare. They're super popular this summer. Anyway, but Aritzia sells a lot of them. All right. And so I was wearing like a cream shirt with an Aritzia skirt, and I think the top was originally Aritzia, but I bought it thrifted, so whatever. And then, so I'm wearing that, and then a few seats down from me in the press room was like a student journalist from UBC, and she's wearing the exact same like cut of top but in like a different color. And then I think like another person was wearing the same thing, and then Reagan is there wearing her like Aritzia blazer. And Sandy just goes, "You all shop at the same place." And we were all like, because it is a running joke in our broadcast, because Kara and I very often come to work wearing the exact same tops. Everybody, like, we're all shopping at Dynamite and Aritzia. Like, that is, when you're trying to look for broadcast clothes, that's where you go.
Look, I mentioned this on a previous episode, but Marina Mabry puts out vlogs of her like day in the life, like life in Toronto, life as part of the Tempo, life in the WNBA. And prior to the season starting, because the Raptors were still in season, she got invited to one of the home games. And where did she go?
Aritzia.
Aritzia in Eden Center, which was like one of the most surreal things, because obviously Aritzia is everywhere. Like you said, so many people purchase and wear it. But to see, you know, it was that thing of like, oh my gosh, the WNBA is here. Oh my gosh, Toronto has a team. They're shopping at Eden Center.
And even if you know WNBA lore too, like the sentence of Marina Mabry is at the Eaton Center Aritzia. Like, that was still at a time where we were like,
look,
this is weird.
It's actually like a trip, because like I follow like other WNBA players. Yeah. I follow even like WWE wrestlers. Yeah. And when they visit and they have a post that just says Toronto, and they're just like in Leslieville, in like Eden Center, in these places, I'm just like, first, I mean, you got to get people to help you find the right places to go to. But also, I'm like, you're
go
in
to
the
different
city.
places.
Like, we are in the same spots. This is like so trippy.
Yeah, I saw, the one that killed me too was one of the times Seattle was here, and I see Steph Dolson post that she's at like the Jugo Juice in the Eden, and I was like, girl, I could send you to so many better places.
There are so many smoothies
across
in the city.
Across from the Hot Topic in the Eden Center. I was like, bro, I know exactly where that picture was taken.
Exactly where that is.
But anyway, Aritzia be getting, I mean, shout out to Aritzia. They did send me a few things to wear for this season. So that I was wearing one of them.
There you
go. So there was that.
Everyone
the
wears
skirt.
It. Sandy's right. But okay, back
Sandy
to
was
the
right. But back to the injury. Yeah. So I go in, I'm like, okay, what's going on with the injuries? That's when she announces that Morrow and Sykes are out for the season. But then she kind of puts in a comment there where she's like, we were told we were uneligible for a hardship contract. And that kind of, I was like, okay. So the press conference ends. I start doing my little boop, 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 boop work. I'm trying to get clarification on why they're not. So like, I end up getting clarification that they were not eligible for, so there's a few different kinds of hardship contracts. There's 7-day hardship contracts, there's rest of season hardship contracts, and there is extreme hardship contracts. Welcome to the verbiage of the CBA. So a rest of season contract
in a post-pandemic world, I am happy that we have different levels of hardship, because we be going through it.
We do be. A couple weeks ago, extreme hardship. Anyways, but anyways, so they were not. So the Tempo is not eligible for a rest of season hardship contract, which means they could not sign someone to a rest of season contract. And the reason why was because when both Morrow and Sykes were evaluated for their injuries, they need to be their prognosis would need to last until the last possible day of the WNBA finals, which I think is like the end of October. I think it's like October 30th or something.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that the Tempo are eliminated from contention.
Exactly. Yeah.
And therefore that marks the end of their season. It is rated based on what is the actual end of the WNBA season. Yeah,
and where their injury, like what their recovery time based on and I'm pretty sure
which is also encouraging, because as bad as it sounded like for rest of season, it like through this process, again, to reiterate, we learned that both Slim and Morrow would have been available in the playoffs should they. So like it does actually like reduce the degree of what the injury felt like.
Yeah, so that's good. But then so then the verbiage, and I remember reading this in the CBA at the beginning of the season, where it was like they need to get like a league approved doctor or something to do it, because like, you know, and then so they get evaluated. So that's why they weren't eligible for a rest of season hardship contract. But usually in years past, if you go below I think it's 8 players. In years past, you would automatically qualify for like an emergency hardship contract. So that means you can like kind of bypass the like bureaucracy of it all and just get a player as soon as possible. So through my research again, I was told by a source that now that the WNBA has development players and those players kind of lean into the whole how many rostered players you have, the WNBA is now treating extreme hardship cases on a case-by-case basis. So as soon as you go below 8 players, you don't automatically get a hardship signing, but the league can evaluate your situation, evaluate how many development game activations you have left, and give you an exemption to sign a 7-day hardship player, which is what ended up happening with the Tempo. So what ended up happening is that the league saw their situation and said, okay, because you have literally no players and your development spots, I think Ornella only has like 4 left. I think the team as a whole only has like 6 or 7 to use between the two of them. Because it's not just per game, it's player per game, which is why green hasn't been activated, because they've been trying to like dole out their activations. So through all of that, the league assessed in those 2 days from Sunday to Monday, that they were eligible for an extreme hardship contract, and so that's why Kiana Williams was able to be signed. She signed to currently she's signed to a 7-day contract, so that'll last them through to the FIBA break, and then they will probably reassess again once the 2 weeks is over and they're coming back for those final 4 games if they are eligible again. But it's based on, and so to talk about who's available, the Tempo were down to, I think it was 7 rostered players on Sunday. Ornella being activated got them up to the minimum 8 that you need to play a game. Then Julie was injured mid-game, so then you went back down to 7. And
to pause on the Julie injury, like we were texting through it, and it was like a legit injury. So like for context, Julie is amongst the players that would be available for FIBA World Cup, and has been
already.
Yeah, she's gone home already. So I think there was, like, it was an actual injury, but then I think there was also like a precautionary element of not exacerbating it more. So like the fact that she was able to like go back and still play for a national team is like really encouraging.
Yeah. So now we're in a situation where you had when I say active, like I don't count the development players until they're activated.
Sure.
So we're in a space where we have 7 players. Julie was one of those players. You take Julie out, because now so they have suspended her contract, temporary suspension. She's gone to Belgium. 6 players. If you were to activate the 2 development players, they would be up to 8, which is the minimum you need to play a game. And
I've never thought of a team like struggling to get to the minimum amount of players like available for a game.
It's giving Paige Becker's senior year at UConn, where she's playing center.
Yes.
Those days. But anyway, so
watch the UConn doc too. That was it's a good doc. Yeah.
Wild. But anyway, so then that's why the league was okay. Like you need another play, because if you're down to 6 and you're literally, if one more person goes down, you have to forfeit a game. Like you need to sign someone. So they ended up getting Kiana Williams, who has played. She's been in and out of rosters. She played at Stanford in college. I've watched her for a long time, so it'll be fun to see her. She'll again probably get minutes because of the place that this team is in right now.
They need her to get minutes. They need everyone to get minutes.
They need everyone to get minutes, and like she's probably a bit more. I don't know if you'd say a bit more conditioned than say someone like Zay Green, but anyways,
sure.
The point of Zay Green coming wasn't for her to be playing.
They're called
big
development
minutes.
Contracts, like
for a reason. It's an audition.
It's not to be like an actual rotation player.
Yeah.
Like, but someone that the team can look at and see, like, could they become one?
Exactly. They're not meant to be your bailout players when you have a gajillion injuries. And then you think about so the update with Marina Mabry is that she's going to continue to be evaluated. She probably won't play in this stretch of 3 games coming up as well. So you're thinking about that. Maybe she'll be back for those 4 games on the other side of the FIBA break, but you don't really know. So then there's that. And then Conde will be going to Spain to play for the Spanish team. Sabali is supposed to play for Germany. We don't know if she'll be healthy enough, but that's another one that you would lose as well. And I mean, I was thinking the other day, and I mean, as much as you don't want to say this, but like, this team is lucky Canada didn't make the World Cup, because then Kia would be gone too.
Then Kia would be gone too. Yeah,
but she's not, and like
But
Kia's
she's
been
not,
playing
yeah.
big minutes. Like they've needed
Yeah.
Kia out there, so like
her presence has been like really helpful in this.
really helpful.
Yeah.
So like imagine you lose her too, but that's not an issue because Canada didn't make the World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, they're struggling, and it's truly a situation where it's like if and you're about to play 3 games in 4 nights, like.
Right.
You never want to see people injured, but like it's just like at a certain point, if more it's just like what is happening,
Right.
And yeah, I saw a bunch of people online being like, I've never seen a team go through something like this. Even
The
like
staff
I mean,
has said that. Sandy,
yeah, the
like,
staff
Coach
has said
Bradella
that.
Said it, like
I was
assistant coaches
talking.
have said it.
Yeah, Carly Clark was telling me she's never really seen anything like it. And it's just like, and I mean, you and I, like, we were around for like some of these dark Raptors days, and I feel like even then their roster wasn't as depleted as we're like facing. I mean,
I know, and like even during like those were like also just like worldly dark times. Like
oh
that's
yeah,
that's
we
the thing
were living
where-
through the Jonte Porter era, like
right, exactly. And so no, there's it is like really. I mean, that's exactly why we have to really celebrate like a Portland Fire win. To I forgot to mention this part, but like to also beat the other expansion team is like really important.
you were really trying to get that one.
I need that dub.
You needed that
know?
one. You needed that one.
But no, I mean, it was funny because leading up to I want to say Vancouver itself, you had joked to me in a text of should we on this show live purchase the services of an Etsy witch. Can you tell people what an Etsy witch is?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this. So an Etsy witch, so when you go on the website Etsy, which is like a craft, or you can buy a ton of stuff on Etsy.
Look, I feel like the intersection of people that listen to Tempo Time and know what Etsy is like a circle.
It's a circle. We all know what Etsy is.
Even,
I think we're good.
Explain what Etsy witch is, like might not be necessary, but we're gonna do it for the sake
basically
of,
there are people on Etsy who offer their services as witches to cast spells, and you can personally request spells on Etsy. So like for a good example of this, I ran the Toronto Waterfront half marathon last October, and in the week leading up to the marathon, the weather was not looking good. It was like looking like it was going to rain all day. A local Toronto influencer named Sarah Jenkins, shout out to Sarah, ordered an Etsy witch to basically cast a spell that the weather would be good on the marathon day, and it worked. The Etsy witch came, and so everybody in their marathon posts were like, thank you Etsy witch for the. So that's what an Etsy witch is. You go online, you order, you pay them a certain amount of money, and they like cast a spell for whatever you want. So yeah, that's an Etsy witch. And so in my thing in asking Drew, I was like, should we order an Etsy witch? You thought I meant for Juju.
I thought so originally for that, but
no, I was like, look at the injury report, and then let's talk about an Etsy witch.
Well,
I also just want to pay people for their services. I want people to get paid.
No.
Shout out Etsy
support
witches.
local business.
Support local business.
No, well, I've heard of Etsy witches. I've heard friends use it in more pettier ways.
Yeah, you can use it
to
for
curse
anything.
Others, and apparently did so quite effectively, which I was like a little shocked and impressed with. But no, I mean, this is the nature of like how bad it feels like for the Tempo. That once it got to this extreme hardship moment, I was like, I don't even know that an Etsy, like what exactly do we ask an Etsy witch? Like, I guess protect the team for the rest. Maybe bring
my
Marina
thing
back to health. Like,
that was my thing. I was like, we need to like protect. We need to cleanse the aura of this team. We need something.
Right.
Like we were like, we need some sage. We need some because like the amount of people who were going down with injuries. I was like, this is between the 2 games. I was like. This is wild. And then, like, partially, I mean, a couple weeks ago, I was like, we should get an Etsy witch for the odds.
Yes,
for the Juju.
that's where I was thinking,
We're taking Juju for Juju in a really serious way. But I don't know if it's, like, ethical for me, personally, to order an Etsy witch, so I'm gonna let someone else do it.
Fair. No, but I think, like, in terms of, like, for wishing, like, good health and wellness for people, I don't think that's such a bad thing.
No.
Well, I guess the last bit about this part here, because I think it does hang around, is we know that Slim is out for the season. We know that Anissa is out for the season. It is a bit of a question mark when it comes to Marina.
Yeah.
do you have any insight as to where it's looking at? Like, she's not
Yeah.
officially out for the season. That we
No.
know.
The thing I think about it is that, like, so her injury is an adductor, which is like the muscle kind of like in your inner thigh. We were trying to explain it because, like, I was like, because there's adductor and abductor. And
Right.
so,
Okay.
you know, when you're at the gym and you do that machine where you like squeeze your legs in,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
that's that muscle, like in your inner, like almost your groin, but I think a little bit lower.
Okay.
It's like that muscle, and so that's what's hard, and it's a very finicky muscle, like especially again no, I don't know this side, I ran a half marathon,
Right.
and so in that process I was having a lot of muscle moments, and those thigh and quad, like those are very finicky to heal, and sometimes like take a little while, or you don't know the exact, like you could wake up one day and it feels better, or it could linger for however long, right? So I think the thing is that they don't really know, because it's symptom, like those injuries are symptom based, because you do a scan, you make sure there's no like tearing or muscle damage, and if it's just a strain, you just kind of have to wait it out and wait until you feel better. And so yeah, I mean, it's a good thing going into the FIBA break, because you'll have 2 weeks to, you know, heal and do treatment or whatever, get some time off, and then we'll see. I mean, if it's super bad, then maybe they don't play her for the rest of the season. If it's, you know, and then if it's not as bad, she's able to feel better before, then you kind of get her in for those last few games. But I mean, at the same time, it also kind of, if you're thinking about tanking,
Sure. Well,
and you also
here-
want her, you don't want her to like get further damage, because the thing with these injuries is that with muscle injuries is you might not see stuff on the x-ray the first time, but if you go and re-aggravate it, then it can cause, you know, other problems. You want to make sure she's healthy for, you know,
you don't want it to be like the seed of like that grows into like a much more serious injury.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what ended up happening with Caitlin Clark last year, is that she was having these
Right.
like groin quad things, ended up growing into something that was a little bit more. So, you know, you don't want, and especially for a team that's not making the playoffs, like, come on, like, you don't want to.
Yeah, I think there's like maybe a bit of they would love to finish the season with as healthy a roster as they can, and maybe like end off on some good vibes. But for the long term success of this team, it's really just not worth taking like those kind of risks. But
Yeah, exactly.
in that spirit, you mentioned it a few times, you know, we have been activating the W Tankathon because the Tempo are out of contention for the WNBA playoffs, and they have the number 2 best odds at getting the number 1 pick in the 2027 WNBA draft, which is prospected at this point to be Juju Watkins. We won't go over this stuff that we have talked already a few times about like whether or not she's going to do it, but we're going to assume in this case
assuming.
that it's for Juju. So what we've been doing on the show, if you have not listened before, is we actually just pull up Tankathon over here. It is a website that allows you to sim the draft lottery. It offers you what the pick order is looking like right now based on their overall percentage of like likeliness, and then you get to sim until you get to sim and see like where your team lands. Normally, when we used to do this on the show, we would just sim one time, see where they land, but we like to sim until we get Juju.
Yeah, we were having a discussion about this at the dinner table last one of these Vancouver nights, because so here was the routine, is that we would go do the game, and then we would go, like the broadcast crew would go out after and like have dinner or whatever. But because I have to write after the game, I would just like bring my laptop and be writing at the table, which is not rude if you work in media. Because
Right, yeah.
I have a deadline. So anyway, we're sitting there. And then when I would file my story and finish, I would jokingly always be like, okay, let's do a spin before I close my laptop. And there was debate about whether you just do the sim once, or my method is count how many times it takes you to get number 1. Because I was the one controlling it, I got to do it my way. But I say it's fun to see how many times it takes to see the Toronto symbol go up there.
I just want to see Toronto at the top.
Yeah.
And one thing that actually is a bit of an update since the last time we've done this is you got to confirm exactly how the odds are calculated. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, so people kept being like, how are the odds going to work? And I was like, well, I have the phone number to the league office. Let me use it. So I reached out and I was kind of like, hey, like, what's the vibes for this? And they confirmed that it's going to be the same as previous years, which means that they draw. Well, I mean, they just said all of the rules are the same as the previous years with the following exceptions. Toronto only and Portland only have to use their 1 year of wait, like their 1 year record to have their wait, where all the other teams will still have 2 years. 7-team lottery, and other than that, the rules are the same, which leads me to believe that they're doing it the same, where they draw the first two and then the rest of them go in reverse order of record. So either way, I think Toronto will probably can only fall to like third or fourth, I think. And then, yeah, so they confirmed with me that it'll work out where Toronto and Portland, it's their 1 year record. Everybody else, it's their 2 year record. So every game for Toronto, technically, I think counts a little bit more.
Right. And yeah, if you're watching right now, and hopefully you can see it on the Tankathon site that we have opened up, you can see the 2 year percentage. And obviously, because Toronto and Portland haven't played more than one season, it is just their record this season. And that's why, you'll see like Connecticut is running a record of 21-60. They obviously have not played 81 games this season. But right now, Toronto sits, second, and not too far off. Like, I think what also happened in the last week since we did this was Chicago started winning some games. Connecticut was winning enough that, like, it's actually, like, getting closer and closer for Toronto.
Well, but here's the thing about both of those teams is that Chicago has no skin in the game because they don't own that pick. As you can see from this thing, Washington owns their pick. Connecticut also doesn't have really any skin in the game because they're about to move to Houston. And so, like, technically the team roster will move over. But, like, when you think about Connecticut, like, I feel like they're probably concerned about giving their fans as fun of an end of season as possible. And that means maybe winning a bit. Like, Aaliyah Edwards went off last night, had a great career high game. They're trying to, give their fans a little bit of a, sunset, as they're calling it, sunset season.
Also, Aaliyah might be an inside agent for Canada. Who knows?
That too. The other thing too is that, like, I saw someone putting the exact things on, and, like, if Toronto loses all their remaining 7 games and Connecticut wins, I think 2 games or even 1, and the 1 is the one against Toronto, Toronto could flip into Toronto has a very real chance of having the number 1 odds for the draft lottery, which is wild. But obviously I'm not going to go too deep into that until we're, like, in the last week of the season. We actually know. And, like, these 3 games will be important. And to see how Chicago and Connecticut perform this week, too. But, like, whew, it's happening.
Yeah. The only thing that we can, like, kind of pray for in looking especially at the Connecticut side is that there isn't some sort of league vested interest in Connecticut becoming Houston, getting the number 1 pick.
Please be pure of heart.
Please be pure of heart. Okay, let's get into the lottery itself. How many do you want to go? Or how many do you think we're going to go until we get Toronto at 1?
At under 3. I'm going par 3.
All right,
par
we're
3.
Going to go with our first one here. First sim. Drops to 3. Second sim.
Yeah!
2.
Come on.
This is the one. Still at 2. Okay, so 3 tries so far. And on the first try,
wow, just one above par.
1 pick. Yeah, there you go.
It's been taking me, like, less than 3, so that's why I thought, let me do 1 here on my side. Oh, yes. Damn, that sucked.
Where did it drop?
To, like, 4.
Oh,
I'm on 3, 4. Oh, no, this isn't going good for me. 5. It took me 5.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and we're also playing this Sun, I think, again at some point.
No, the final game. We are closing out. We're closing out their franchise, literally closing out Mohegan Sun Arena.
We could shut down Mohegan Sun Arena, or we could give them the
best. Goodbye. And I need them to, be good sports. Be good sports. Please. I need Aaliyah Edwards to go off and score 50 in that game.
Either way, Canada wins.
Canada wins either way. Then trade her to Toronto. No, I'm kidding. Then I'm going off.
I'm not against that.
I'm not against it either.
Okay, so yeah, that was 4 to Juju, and yeah, it would be a like a generational changing moment.
Oh man, we
Yeah.
were talking about this the other day too in the green. We were like franchise, like double, like triple platinum jerseys, and
Another franchise player
she
along
would
with
take
Kiki.
over this country like it was nobody's business. Signature shoe incoming. Oh my god, in those tempo colors.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, they'd be having her. Oh man, she'd be like she'd be the face of the money. She'd be fucking everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, to close out on a little bit more of a serious note, I wanted to highlight like three different pieces that came out this week from friends of the show: Katie Heindel, Shireen Ahmed, and Frankie Delacretis. You
Period
know,
queens.
as much as there has been so much joy with the tempo and the W as a whole, there has been so much of a distraction too with the infiltration of transphobic, anti-trans groups, specifically through Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever, attending Fever games, either in Indiana or on the road, and really trying to spoil like really what is a beautiful spirit that is the WNBA and its fans. And it came to a bit of a head. We saw Ennis Cantor Freedom show up to the Chicago Sky game, and it created a really heated moment where Natasha Cloud, like, essentially just like went at him like on the sidelines after a play, yelled at him, and caused him to get ejected, which he shouldn't have been there in the first place to begin with. But you know, it's just been a thing that has unfortunately been a discussion point and really not a thing that's like truly worthwhile in terms of actually talking about what it is because and I'm just going to actually like, pull up quotes here. Like I pulled up quotes from each of their pieces, starting with Katie's on her Basketball Feelings Substack. So this is in reference. There was a Sportico clip that went out. It was over at the New York Liberty game against the Indiana Fever, and they essentially asked. There were two different protests that were going on outside. There was an anti-trans one, and then there was a actually Frankie like talks about it like a trans like celebration, like one that they were trying to just like really drown out all that like very small, to be honest, noise. But they asked on both ends WNBA players that they knew, and it was very clear that the the people who were on the anti-trans side could only really name Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark. And to kind of read this quote here, in a blunt way, it's what the sport co-clip drags to light. Granted, the clarity there comes in recognizing that the people concerned with trans women's participation in women's sports have absolutely no interest in the sport itself. What makes this group so slippery, so difficult to rebut, and read for the bigots that they are, is that they are shapeshifters. Once it was competitive swimming, today it's the WNBA, tomorrow it will be another sport, another league, another palpable, marketable champion like Cunningham. The point here really just being that, there is the larger debate for like the protection of trans people. But then there's like the specific thing that's happening now in the WNBA. And what makes it so clear with all these demonstrations, all the fans that are, well, quote unquote fans, I'm going to say that, attending these games, is they have absolutely no interest in the WNBA. They have barely watched any of the games. They have never been there as part of the growth of the game. They have never been in any way involved in caring about the W in any form. And even when it comes to the people that they're supporting in like a Sophie Cunningham, I would dare you to like ask them a single play that they like from Sophie Cunningham, and I'm sure that you would find nothing. Another quote here. I'm just gonna move this out for a second. The anti-trans set who have hopped onto the WNBA to enjoy the ride and limelight have no such nuance, no such self-awareness either. When pressed, they retreat, either behind hyperbole or feigning offense. The favorite ploy is to turn fearful hypotheticals like, you don't want to protect women, protect girls? Well, how is that going in a society that considers brutality, policing, rampant imperialism, and gangsterism necessary, even favorable, where the protections by design are not meant to ever stop? There's like, with this quote here, there's just like, again, a clear point about all these like loud declarations that they make. None of it is actually for the protection of women or people. And so, again, it's unfortunate that it even remotely needs to be addressed, but like really credit to Katie and the writers that I'm about to feature next for like even writing about it. Shireen wrote a piece, op-ed piece for CBC, and the quote here, it's small to read here, so I'm gonna try to pull it up on my end. Men wading into discussions about women's sport is not uncommon. And that, Ennis Canner Freedom got into an argument by provoking players and the community with his shirt is something we've come to expect from disingenuous types parading as saviors of women's sports. I mean, the key part here, again, like specifically with him, but also so many people that are involved, it's all disingenuous. It can't be stressed enough how much they do not care about women's sports or the protection of women. And they are just using these opportunities to, like, again, Trojan horse their way into it. The last bit here that I want to feature from Frankie Delacretis' piece with Extra is one that I think is like such an important side of this too. We focus on trans joy because we don't want to feed into the narrative that we are monsters. Organizer Hannah McCarty tells Extra. We don't want to show up and be angry even if we are. Instead, we are here to show you we are just human beings and we just want to be included like everyone else. I think this last part is like such a precious part because like that is happening like rightfully like baits rage. It is all rage baiting. It's trolling. It's trying to pull the worst qualities out of people. And I think it's trying to dehumanize a lot of these marginalized groups, not just the trans community, but any group that is like going through this kind of oppression. And I think it is really important in moments like that. And I think it's really brave and strong for the group that was there at the Liberty game to really focus on their joy, to really focus on their support of each other, the support of the community, support of W, and not really give credence to, again, this minority group that is trying to be as loud as possible. And, you know, I got to talk to Frankie about it after the piece. We were DMing back and forth. And like the part that really stood out for me, especially with a quote like this, is I think so often with marginalized groups, we can just identify them and almost minimize them to the suffering and trauma that they go through. But it's really important to like really see their humanity and see the joy that they experience and that they're just like everyone else. You know, I included links to all these pieces for people to read, like in our YouTube description, and it will be in our podcast description as well. I really encourage you to do so. I encourage you to like, you know, follow like so many players like Natasha Cloud, Sid Colson, even like players like I remember reading some like earlier pieces from Frankie talking about like the Caitlin Clark effect and the negative effect about like the MAGA infiltration there. And, you know, in those days you'd hear from like Brittany Sykes, you know, tweeting about it in the support of and protection of women. But, you know, there's a lot of good resources out there. There's a lot of good ways of framing it. And I think like a real credit again to Katie, Shireen, and Frankie for their work there that I wanted to highlight to like close out the show. You know, it sounds like thankfully when you were at the Vancouver game, like it only really happens unfortunately when the fever are involved, but like you don't experience it. And like, you know, for anyone that's listening right now, go back to listening to us talk at the top of it. Like the Tempo season has been so much about joy, so much about a great community, so much about the inclusion of people, so much of the protection of people. And that is what the spirit of it is and should be. And it's a real shame to those people that try to get in, not care about it, and make it about themselves.
Yeah, I met so many lovely, lovely people in Vancouver who were excited to see the Tempo, who were seeing a WNBA game for the first time, who were, you know, had so many great signs, excuse me, about like, even like, you know, without the presence of a team like the Fever there, like had so many great signs about, you know, Trans Lives Matter, stuff like that. And they were showing them on the screen. And, you know, it was just like a really cool, it's always a really nice space to be in. And I think that Vancouver, like, as much, I feel like a lot of people are saying, like, you know, Toronto game should be in Toronto, whatever. And I mean, we have the benefit, we get 6 more games next year. So there will be more games in Toronto next season. But yeah, I think it's also a great reminder too to like continue building the community and continue to bring these safe spaces to places that don't usually have them. So like Vancouver, Montreal, et cetera, et cetera. And also just yeah, shout out to all the great people I met in the arena last weekend, who were so kind and so wonderful, and saw Kat in the in the merch line, and so shout out Kat as well. And yeah, it was just like a great space to be a part of, and just a reminder of what the space usually is and what it should be.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're going to close the show out there. I'm going to finish on one quote
Mm.
from dearly departed Dolly Parton.
Ugh.
Really like tragic news, but the quote, like in seeing all the different posts, and I feel one that like really applies to what we just talked about here. This is from Dolly. I've had to go against all kinds of people through the years just to be myself. I think everyone should be allowed to be who they are and love who they love.
Period.
Dolly has always been one of the kindest, most generous people. It is such a devastating loss, but
Mm.
I think, you know, the beauty is you have spaces like the W where a lot of that spirit does continue and does get like spread. And we really just want to do so. And on that note, like, thank you, anyone that's listening right now, anyone that supports the Tempo, that supports the W, that supports trans people. We love you, and we will see you next time.